Hello and welcome to episode 408 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now I'm thrilled today to be joined by Dave McPherson, the singer and songwriter from an incredible band called InMe. InMe are a band that have had a huge impact on me. Growing up, I absolutely loved Overgrown Eden. I thought it was an absolutely incredible album, and it inspired me to want to be a songwriter, be in a band. And I'm so glad that I get to sit down and talk to Dave, because this interview has kind of been in the works for over a year. We kind of talk a lot on Messenger, and we've been trying to make it happen, but things just need to line up sometimes, and I truly believe that this is the best time that it could happen. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be bringing you that interview in just a couple of minutes' time. I always like to use the intro for every episode of Mark and Me to touch base and talk about my last episode. It only came out this time yesterday, and it was with Emmy Mack, the singer of Red Hook. It's only been 24 hours, but I'm so grateful for the band, for Emmy, and for people online to be sharing these episodes. I'm so grateful. The numbers have been huge in only 24 hours, so thank you so much to everyone that listened. And if you haven't listened yet, you've got all the time over the next couple of weeks to catch up, but it isn't going to slow down soon, so don't leave it too long. Now, before I get to today's interview with Dave, I want to give a shout out to one of the sponsors of Mark and Me, Vice Press. These guys have an incredible website, vicepress.com, and if you head over there right now and use the discount code MarkandMe10, you'll save 10% off your first order. Now, it's coming up to Christmas, we're really close now, but it's not too late to go and buy some licensed prints, some artwork, some designs, some beautiful stuff. So go and check it all out, and don't forget to use the discount. Now, I'm really thrilled about this interview, so I want to get straight to it. So here's me and Dave talking all things InMe. So Dave, welcome to the Mark and Me podcast.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm very well, my friend. It's been a long time coming, actually. I was thinking today, I've sat with you at 2000 Trees a couple of years ago, and we were having a drink, and I think we went to see Rival Schools or somebody. We went to see a band together, and I remember saying, you need to come on this podcast, and it's kind of always kind of been in the mix, ready to happen, and I'm glad the day's finally come.
Yeah, me too. I've been doing quite a few of these for promotion for like a re-release of our debut album,
Yeah.
and then I was like, "What? That never happened. We've got to do that." And then, so yeah, thank you. Here we are.
It's an absolute pleasure. What I do with all guests that come on is I always like to take it back to the very beginning. Before Overgrown Eden, I'm talking when you were a kid. And what I'm always interested by is those first albums that kind of shaped your music taste or shaped you want to be in a band. And can you remember now, I'm putting you on the spot, but that first album maybe you were given or you got with your pocket money that you were just obsessed with?
I think it was Michael Jackson, Bad.
Oh, me
I
too.
remember. I remember at school that, and I wasn't just the only kid. I remember thinking, yeah, that as an album all the way through, and I think that's the one I remember being the first album I'd just play all the way through in my bedroom, hoping no one would come in, and I'd have like a squash racket as a guitar, one of my dad's, and I would just rock the whole album to thousands and thousands of people. So yeah, that one rings a bell. But yeah, in terms of age, I was pretty young, and yeah, I think it was that album.
What an incredible album. I had that on cassette. So we might be the same age. I'm 42 now. So
I am 42, yeah.
there you go. So I
Meaning
remember
of
having
life.
Bad and it folding out the actual insert and just being obsessed with it. And I was like watching the music videos that would come on for like Top of the Pops and stuff, and I'd just be amazed. I think one of the Michael Jackson videos had The Simpsons on it. It might be black and white. I remember it started and I was just blown away. I was like, how is this so cool that like my favorite cartoon and my favorite singers all mixed together? And there was nothing like it, even though I know some people have different judgment. Michael Jackson for me is one of the best produced artists ever.
And for me, Dangerous is on a par as well.
So good.
Yeah, just banger front to back. And I like the fact that it didn't care about like a song length. He'll do a 2 minute long intro before he gets to the verse. And And yeah, I'll do like a 5 minute long chorus that with key changes that yeah, I quite it's quite progressive almost.
That's
Um,
awesome. Yeah, the production as well. Those
oh
sounds like they
yeah,
were
yeah, yeah,
recorded yesterday. They're so good.
yeah, yeah, I love it.
What about
Yes.
live music then, buddy? That's when it all changed for me. I tell this story on every episode, so people were probably listening thinking, "Oh, shut up, we know the story." But it was Green Day. That was my first introduction to music. Wolverhampton Wolfenhall on their Dookie tour. So I was probably about 12,
Wow.
and I was like, "Yeah, this is all I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to be in front of the mirror like you with your tennis racket, singing to thousands. That's all I wanted to do is be like Billy Joe Armstrong." Was your first gig as good, or do you remember it being one that you don't tell people because it's embarrassing, or was it a really good one?
I mean, other than like, I guess some sort of magician at children's parties that might have done a sing song. I guess I think I can't really remember because music was like me and my dad's thing
Yeah.
from like when I was as soon as he could drag me along to anything, I was going to him. So I kind of just remember blues bands at this place. I think it's still a venue. It's called the CX now. It's part of the Essex Arms pub. I think it used to be called Pam's Bar, and it must have been called something before that. And it was just blues bands, and then like rock bands that did the sort of pub circuit. Bands like Stray. There was a band called Dumpy's Rusty Nuts.
I
Uh,
love these names.
yeah, and Wilco Johnson. He played
Nice.
he blew me away. So yeah, but a lot of just blues, just people jamming the blues.
So
And
when
I'm not really a big blues fan,
I
but
was going
that
to say, so when did it go from blues to picking up a guitar and want to be in a rock band?
uh, I think after Michael Jackson, I think it was Bon Jovi
Oh,
was
nice.
the big
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I think I was about 12. Yeah, 94. They released an album called Crossroads, which was like their best of,
Yeah.
and Always was on that, and that was a single I saw them play like Top of the Pops, and yeah, that was it. I just wanted to be Bon Jovi.
It's a good person to want to be, and I'm quite late to Bon Jovi. When I grew up, I missed it. It was like Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses, and I let them bypass me really. And genuinely, I listened to a podcast called Smartless, and Bon Jovi was on the other day when I was listening in the car. And
Yeah,
it's weird, but I was like, I need to listen to Bon Jovi. Like I've really over like I've just not given it the time, which sounds absolutely mental saying it to you now, but I listened to it then and I was like, fucking hell, this guy can write a banger, like
yeah.
timeless, and no one sings like him, like
No, no, no.
unbelievable.
And it's not for everyone, but you can tell when it's Bon Jovi. For me, yeah, like Slippery When Wet's great, but my favorite three Bon Jovi albums are New Jersey, um, Keep the Faith, and possibly my favorite is probably, probably, maybe These Days, which is not probably most people's favorite, but yeah, I was just that was when I really got into Bon Jovi, and then they came out with this sort of much more earthy, grounded Americana sort of country, but less of the stadium rock vibe, less of the hair.
Yeah.
Uh, and yes, and there's some songs on there that are really like hard hitting emotionally. Not like I love Bon Jovi, but it's unashamedly cheesy.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
but there's some stuff on these days, and Keep the Faith that's quite reflective and deep, and especially when you're 12 years old, it blew my mind. So, and then for that would be the real big one. Was my dad encouraged this because my dad got me into Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Queen, The Police. These were the
Wow.
sort of bands I was growing up with. Um, so he liked the fact that I got into Bon Jovi. He dug the songs and he liked the musicianship. So he took me to see him a couple of times. The first time was Wembley Stadium in 1995,
Jesus, man.
um, and supported by Van Halen, Thunder, and Ugly Kid Joe.
And you're
And
like 13 years old at this point.
I think I was 12.
Wow.
5? Yeah, I might not have been quite 13 yet. So that was, and my dad was a character, and he basically, I don't know how this happened. I remember it happened because I remember little bits of images, or whatever, but he pretended to the security in the sort of front row area of the whole stadium that it was my birthday. Could we get through? with our normal ticket. And next thing, I'm just at the front for, I think it was for Van Halen, followed by Bon Jovi, front row on my dad's shoulders for the whole 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever it was. And that was the one that blew my mind. Yeah,
Those
which if
foundations, dude. Like, how do you ever top that?
you don't, like, if I
No.
could go back right now and experience that again, that would be incredible. Yes, and I don't know who's going to believe me on this, but I remember it happened. Like my dad got me right to the front for Van Halen. They were playing a lot of those songs from the Seventh Seal, which ended up being a favorite album.
Yeah.
Sammy Hagar, the singer at the time, tried to encourage me to get over the railings, which was quite a long way. And the security sort of pulled me back, and so Sammy Hagar tried to pull me on stage at Wembley Stadium. So I guess you can partly blame Sammy Hagar for all of this.
Jesus, that's a
Yeah,
hell of a story. And I wondered, when did that become a reality that you then obviously you're seeing Bon Jovi on stage and Van Halen and everyone, but when was it you kind of bought a guitar or you thought I want to actually play some songs and it not just be a bit of a fantasy or a dream?
I think it was about the same time that I got a guitar that I discovered Nirvana. I can't remember how. I obviously got into more guitar-driven music from
Yeah.
Jovi, and Nirvana was the big one. And me and Joe, the original bassist, like we were best friends hanging out all the time. So obviously he was into Nirvana as well. And then yeah, I think it kind of went hand in hand with our discovery of Nirvana. Not long after, at least. I can't remember exactly because 30 years ago or whatever. But yeah, it was about yeah, it was Nirvana was the sort of, not to say Nirvana weren't, talented musicians, but it was easier to play
Of
easier to
course.
play than Richie Sambora's guitar solo. So yeah, that made it like, oh, I just need to learn some power chords and we can write our own music and then we can go and do gigs. And I don't even think I was thinking quite that planned out, but yeah, that was
I was the same. I was having guitar lessons. My mum would pay for me weekly to go, and I would just learn the album Nevermind, like Polly, just those four chords. And I
yeah,
was like, wow, I've learned this power chord thing, and now if I move it on different frets, I can play Teen Spirit, and now I can play Come As You Are and In Bloom. And I was like,
that's good.
not.
It means you
I was thinking to myself, I'm learning quite quickly, but it was just because the simplicity. But that's like you said, taking nothing away from Nirvana. It was just I could play like my hero, and I was like, wow,
well, and you clearly playing by ear, so
yeah.
which is good because then yeah, you can do whatever you want once you can kind of play the chords you want to play, you can write a song. So that was it. It was that simple. We didn't need to train hard to be
No.
amazing guitarists or bassists or whatever. I mean, we were awful. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it was the catalyst. We could do a band.
So you and Joe at this point are playing along to songs, jamming with a bass and a guitar. What's the way that you then thought, right, we need to make sure we get a drummer and make this actually a band?
Pretty quick. I think we only like wrote a few songs together. We had like a drum machine on a demo. So we knew we needed a drummer, and drummers were scarce in
Yeah.
Brentwood in Essex. And there was one chap that we knew was a drummer. That doesn't necessarily mean we thought they were any good or knew whether they were any good. But that fell through. And then the only guy I knew was a guy called Cy, um, who became our drummer. And yeah, didn't really even know him, but yeah, that's sort of how it happened. Yeah.
Did it seem quite quick? Because I genuinely went and bought Overgrown Eden probably the day it came out, because I remember seeing it on, would it be MTV2 or Kerrang or something back then? It was really one of
Yeah.
the first things. I remember you were on the cover, I think in about 2003 or 2004. I remember you being on the cover, and it was, as an outsider, you guys blew up overnight. You brought out Underdose, and suddenly, honestly, everyone was going fucking crazy. It was like, I remember
Well,
people
like
saying, it was this explosion on the scene.
what I just said about me, Joe and Cy, that was like we did our first rehearsal. That was July '96. So we didn't actually release Overgrown Eden until 2003. So yeah, definitely not kind of overnight in that respect.
That's fair.
But another 6 or 7 years before the album was released. So yeah. But that then in those years just sort of doing school, doing college, but
Yeah.
also refining the band, I guess, just because we loved it. Playing all sorts of shows around Essex over those years, getting better, getting better. I became like obsessed with my music, like sort of writing lyrics, and I was always kind of obsessed with wordplay and poetry. So that came into it, and just being a bit of a broken young thing. I needed some sort of release creatively. So yeah, but years and years before we actually got to the
Yeah.
well, we got recognized. I think it was 2000 in the year 2000. Uh, so yeah,
So I'm not taking anything away from that. It just felt because I'm obviously not on the inside.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not living near you. I don't see these gigs. I don't know that you're at school doing this stuff. But
No, no, no.
as the debut, it must have been incredible because it blew up. I remember it was number 15 in the UK chart. I read that it was number one in the UK album charts.
Yeah.
Rock album
No, sorry, number
charts.
one in the rock chart. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Number
like
15 in the UK chart.
like you surely, and I know you were very young, but surely it must have been quite hard to get your head around that and process it and be like, fuck, like this is a dream.
Well, I'm actually I was kind of with you anyway. Like it
Yeah,
still feel like okay, because it literally did happen like that. The popularity grew so quickly. It did. It didn't feel real, to be honest. Like it sort of woke up and went, oh my God, like this is actually happening. How many bands get this far even? Because in those days, like it was, there was no socials, there wasn't bands just basically doing all their videos and everything themselves. You got a record deal, and we got signed to the biggest independent music label in the world at the time. You get a record deal, that's a real, I mean, being on the telly now, I don't know how, but back then it was much more of a rarity.
yeah.
Just to be on the telly meant you made it. Basically, is what people would assume. If you're on the telly, you've made it. So yeah, it was weird. Um, Amazing, but also yeah, terrifying and just weird. Like,
Was it too much to kind of get your head around? I mean, obviously, I'm sure at that age you probably weren't able to take a step back and digest exactly what was happening, that you could put on music TV and you were there, or you could look at the charts, the singles charts, and see top 50s, top 25. You must have been, I think it must have been too much at too much of a young age to even try and comprehend or try and digest it. Surely it was just a bit too much.
yes, it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like with my mental health, just all of a sudden reading mean things about you, like people, you know, we were kind of easy targets. We were these little pretty boys that it looked like we hadn't really, we'd just been put together almost, and then
Yeah.
put some music out, and yeah. So I think yeah, there was some mean stuff came our way. I didn't cope with that very well. Um, so yeah, I guess, but it's always easy to say, well, if I went through it now, I know I would. I'd be, especially the way I am, this day and age right now, these days, I'd cope with it very well, and I'd protect myself from bits and bobs. So
Yeah, but you're
I hadn't even
too
fully
young, aren't you, at
figured.
that age?
Sorry.
You're too young at that age to know. You're naive, you're
Yeah,
too vulnerable. It's not fair. You shouldn't be experiencing that kind of shit. So it's a lot to
yeah.
deal with.
And you just haven't figured yourself out whatsoever as a person yet, like in
No.
the real world. So to be expected to cope with, and also like it's kind of like I've always felt really insecure. Like my self-esteem sometimes can be really high, and then really most of the time it's pretty low, which I think works in my favor. I hope like. I wouldn't. So it's like all these people praising you. People were like crying when they met us sometimes and things like that. And how do you take that?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, of course, I am the most awesome person in the world. You um, maybe it would have been easier if I thought that, but it's just very strange to. I didn't really, couldn't really articulate myself. So yeah, it's weird. It is strange. It's very strange. It's the only way to describe it all.
I've had a lot of my favorite bands from that era on here. Bands like Ruben, Headers for Heroes, 100 Reasons, Biffy Clyro.
Mhm.
and there's a great music scene. And a question I'm always interested in is when you've had that success as a debut, like those bands I've mentioned, to then have the pressure to do a follow up. So with White Butterfly, the second album, what was it like having that pressure of fuck, our debut's completely blown all our expectations. It's made this incredible impact on the music scene. Everyone's talking about it, and now we need to do something else better if we can. We need to top this. We want to make sure that people aren't let down.
Um, I think I was pretty confident with it.
That's good.
The writing process, and I mean this with no disrespect to Joe. I love the guy, and we're dear friends to this day. But creatively, we were at loggerheads, and yeah, I couldn't quite, couldn't, I kind of, I'm very proud of that album,
Yeah.
and I pushed it as far as I could and where I could. I would have done things a lot differently. There would have been different lyric changes, like some of the stuff that's just cheesy, in my opinion. And Joe was writing lyrics as answer vocals to my lyrics that had nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that. But that's just for me personally. Some people might really love that fact that there's two personalities doing their thing. Um, but no, I kind of by the time I got to White Butterfly, I had gone through a lot through the whole campaign of the Overgrown Eden. I had grown up a lot in a way, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
Of course.
And I just felt confident in the fact that I can now really show off my musicianship. I felt like a lot more creatively in control, apart from the me and Joe thing. Um, so no pressure. Well, there was pressure,
Yeah.
and it was a struggle at times to make, but no, I didn't feel like, well, definitely didn't feel any like writer's block. And I personally had, I had mixed feelings about Overgrown Eden at the time. So I was just ready to do something better and bigger.
When you say
Um,
mixed feelings, obviously, I know it's a long time ago now, but were you not happy with the production, or were you not happy with the songs, or were you not? What was digging? What was kind of niggling away at you about Overgrown Eden? Because I thought it sounded fucking epic.
yeah, I mean, I've grown to love it. But
Yeah.
I think for me, my personal thing is just the vocal performance. Uh,
Okay.
I was I hadn't found my voice yet. I mean, I haven't found my voice to this day. You're always a work in progress. But back then, I definitely hadn't found how I wanted to sound and how I wanted to sing, and I had a lot of pressure from label people, the producer, all these sorts of different pressures that were hard for me to cope with. Just basically thinking I wasn't a very good singer. That's my self-esteem creeping in again. And so I was often told to sing with gravel in my
Yeah.
voice. And these days I can do that, but I try and make it, really fit the feeling of the vocal. You don't just force a gravelly vocal.
No.
And I hadn't figured out the technique of putting a bit of grit in your vocal. So I just personally listen to it and I think, oh God, if I was listening to this, I'd be like, what is wrong with this guy's voice? So, but that's just me, and it's like people love it for that reason probably. So, um, whereas with White Butterfly, I definitely was much more happy with the vocals. Yeah.
So with the band, obviously, at what point was it that you kind of started feeling a few cracks? And that's not me trying to get any gossip or anything like that, but you talked then about the second album, you and Joe's vocals not being completely in line. That's something that you might just be putting up with and playing every night, but then it must have had a bit of a bigger crack because it obviously led to the band. You didn't stay as a three piece, did you? I know the drummer left, and you had musical differences, and then you had different members coming. Is that right?
Nearly. Simon stayed in the band
Yeah,
until I think he left in 2015, 2016, maybe. I don't
yeah,
know the year. Um, but Joe left, yeah, after White Butterfly before we did Daydream Anonymous, third album. And yeah, it wasn't like this. There wasn't a nasty,
no,
big acrimonious split, but we were, I think, both relieved. I think for InMe to continue, that needed to happen. And I think Joe possibly would agree with that. I can't speak for him.
no,
But I mean, he's coming to one of these shows in November, and it's all really nice because we were best friends since we were 4 years old. So we've mellowed. We never had like a big. fallout or there wasn't really much drama other than it kind of needed to happen, and we weren't mature enough or in a good place enough in our headspace to properly discuss it.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe there's a lot of things left unsaid for a few years, but um, nah, I mean, yeah. So the band changed, and that's when I decided to bring my brother in,
Yeah.
and that was where, like, creatively, I was obviously just allowed to do whatever I wanted, and the guys encouraged that, and I allowed them in return. So yeah, the band sound completely changed for the third album.
Did you feel a sense of relief? And that's nothing against Joe, but as in it just felt like the pressure was off you. It just felt like this is just a lot easier now. I've got the control. I know what I'm doing. I'm comfortable on album number three. I feel like I've got the right people around me. We can just it just felt better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like Daydream Anonymous is just creative freedom
Yeah.
for all. I don't mean that like I say, no disrespect to Joe at all. We made those two albums, and we might not have even got to the third album without Joe's participation in those first two. But yeah, it just felt like, oh, okay, I don't have to simplify my riffs. I don't have to uh, change a lyric to mean something that I completely not intended to put. My songs can make fluid sense throughout, and so yeah, definitely.
Then obviously, because now have you got five members in the band now?
Yes, five piece. Yeah,
That's pretty epic, isn't it? To go from a three piece to a four to a five.
yeah. I mean, we became a four piece. We should have become a four piece, really,
Yeah.
from White Butterfly, because there were so many guitar overdubs and stuff. It, I kind of like the whole raw, we're a three piece thing, but when you've got a really key rhythm guitar and then a really key lead guitar playing at the same time,
Yeah.
you kind of need both of that. Um,
Was it Harold Moth that you got?
Harold Moth, yeah, but it
Yeah.
should have been Daydream Anonymous as well, because like the
Yeah.
guitars were insane, and I could have done with some help.
Did you feel that on stage? Were you playing live thinking, fuck, man, I can do as much as I can here. I can beef the sound up and get my amp sounding great and use some pedals, but I'm really wishing I could have that other guitarist right now.
No, because I was always so self-controlling in my own way.
Yeah.
I like the fact that I'm doing insane riffs, crazy timing, and singing completely different timing vocals over the top, all these wacky high lyrics, and trying to do it all. I guess it might be impressive to watch. It's not actually that fun to do. So now, yeah, it's I write a lot of guitar still in the band, and I record guitar still some in the band. It's kind of not really a rule book there, but I'm just vocals on the live
Yeah.
front, and I got John and Gaz on guitar, and Mike on bass, and Tom on drums. So yeah, five piece now. So
What was there something that made you want to put the guitar down and just concentrate on vocals? Was there something in your head that, because it's quite a big thing to do, isn't it? I think it's quite a sacrifice to be able to put the guitar down and be okay with it and be like, right, I'm gonna change the dynamic. I'm gonna focus more on my vocals. I'm not gonna worry about playing a certain riff. I can kind of give the responsibility to someone else.
um, no, it happened by accident, literally, because I used to be a drinker, and I was particularly drunk in Bristol one night, and I was trying to jump from, I don't know, these big cement blocks, jump from one to the other. I don't really recall this anyway. And I started to fall. Ironically, I went to reach for John, who's now in the band as the guitarist. He didn't manage to grab me. I fell on the floor. Next day, I fractured my hand.
Oh fuck.
Um, and we're on tour, so I'm trying to get on painkillers sorted and get my, yeah, basically it's in agony. I cannot play guitar. And I'd done it once before where I'd fractured a knuckle on tour in Europe with the Rasmus and just continued playing the tour in pain with my hand in a
Ow.
freezing bucket whenever I could, which is not advised because it doesn't heal properly. I should know, I definitely know that now because I work on trauma and orthopedics ward and it was silly of me. But so so then in soundcheck, John was our merchandise guy. John had been the biggest InMe fan for years. He's got massive InMe tattoo on his back. He's just a huge InMe fan. And he was selling merchandise because we thought, well, let's bring him along. We all get on with him. And he's like the biggest fan. And then he just said, I know all the songs, by the way. I can fill in tonight if Dave can't do it. And I went to A&E and got sorted out. And then the guys had a sound check with him and went, he does know all the songs and he plays them really well. So yeah, it kind of happened like that. For the rest of the tour, I was just on vocals. And then I went, hold on a sec. I'm really much better at singing when I'm not concentrating on all these crazy riffs and pedal changes and I'm not static to a microphone. I can run around wherever I want. So yeah, it just came from there, really. John started to do the last song in our set list for one tour, and then eventually we were like, let's do this. So yeah, it's just kind of come from that. And now, yeah, I've found my stance and the way I'm comfortable
Yeah.
rocking out without a guitar on my person, and I can just command a room a lot better, I think. Just
Is there a little bit of you that misses it sometimes? You just want to pick it up and just play with the lads, or you just like, I'm happy?
I'm happy now. I get to do it. I mean, I'm still playing my acoustic stuff. I've got my
Yeah.
guitar for that. I still just jam out whenever. I mean, I might. I'm not. I just not. I won't say never, but it's just a bit of faff, to be honest, for me to just play one or two songs to have a whole extra setup.
Yeah.
It's at our level. It kind of is like I've got two great guitarists. They can play my riffs. I don't miss it when I'm on stage. I'm concentrating fully on my voice. I can like hold notes through the bits where I would have had to concentrate on a complicated riff. I can just keep like I'm just much more focused on the main thing. And people do say the main thing of a music or a band is the lyrics and the vocalists. So it's kind of the most important human connecting part
Yeah.
of the song. So yeah, I just love it now, and
I
that's
would
how.
love to be this like a film director and make a story about this guy who's selling t-shirts, gets a tattoo, loves this band, and then gets to join the band. It feels like a Hollywood film, and at the end he suddenly does the whole gig.
Well, it's quite fun. Yeah, it does actually. It sounds like that Bohemian Rhapsody film, but it's the same for all the members. Like all four members in the band, other than me, were massive InMe fans before they joined the band, and that's not by design. I'm not some weird wizard
Yeah, do you want to
guy.
be in the band? Just buy tickets to all the shows, and one day you
Yeah,
might be
yeah,
in the
yeah.
band. Yeah.
It's just the way it happened. Uh, yeah, yeah, all of them. So yeah,
Are you happy now? Solid lineup. Nothing's going to change. Everyone's comfortable. Everyone's loving what they're doing. You feel good. The band feel good.
band feels great. We're all just really good friends.
Yeah.
We're all in a good mental state in our personal lives, and yeah, yeah, we just make it work. It's hard, but we never fall out. We sort of yeah, we all see eye to eye really, and there's just a lot of respect for each other,
And you're talking about
understanding.
yeah, you're talking about obviously celebrating Overgrown Eden, touring, playing more shows with the band, and a re-release. Is that right?
Yeah, we re-released Overgrown Needed on vinyl
Yeah.
on November 1st, and yeah, it's been amazing. And that's through music. We're working with Music for Nations again, so it's been like a nice, real full sort of full circle thing.
Is
And
that
yeah,
is that a green vinyl, or did I imagine that? I'm sure I pictured like a, or was there like a variant?
it's yeah, just done really nice green.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it for the first time the other day. So in fact, I've just got one over there, as you can
That's
see.
that is very sexy. But
Yeah.
yeah. So what's the plan now then? Now this is out, are you celebrating doing more shows? Have you got stuff lined up?
Well, basically, we've been working on an album for 5 years. So like I had to sort myself out. I
Yeah.
quit drinking 16 months ago, and ever since then, it's sort of like my life has completely changed. And so we've been working on this album for like a year, 3 years, 3 years basically. And it was good. It was because the guys were there to sort of help me
Yeah.
along. I was not at my best, to say the least. Um, and then with just the last hour, a year and a half, we've just been like now kind of I'm present in my own life. The, I basically went and wrote a follow-up to the next album just because I didn't have the confidence to say I think I can beat all this, beat the stuff we already worked on these last
Yeah.
whole 3.5 years. And then there was the band that sort of eventually were like, hold on a sec, man, let's just come back with our best. And a lot of these songs are better than what we've done. So we've yeah basically got that to the point where we've got 12 songs ready. We're tracking it as we you know from home here and there wherever we can tonight. In fact, um, so we're doing that album. So we're kind of like we don't want to become this nostalgia band because we did it last year. We did the 20th anniversary of Overgrown Eden, and it took this long to get to the vinyl. So it's the
Yeah.
21st anniversary. Not that that matters. Um, so we didn't want to just do the Overgrown Eden album again on these shows. We want to play shows because we want to be a band that just actually is active and gets out and does what it's supposed to do, which is play live. Um, so we just the next album's called Demons for many reasons. So
Yeah.
it's the ones I just mentioned, and we just thought we'll call it the Overgrown Demons tour. Uh,
Nice.
sort of celebrate the old because we get it. A lot of people that's the album they like from InMe. They're not interested in others, but also the other way around and blah 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 and all in between. But yeah, so that leads us nicely into 2025. Sorry, this is a long-winded answer.
No, no, it's
Um,
good. It's I like to know what's going on, so it makes sense.
yeah, so the Overgrown Demons tour, we're doing like a 20-song set list, 9 songs, like with this vinyl from the Overgrown Eden vinyl. We've also done another vinyl that comes with it, which is all the 10 B-sides.
Oh,
So we
lovely.
play a couple of those songs on the tour as well, and then just lots of the fan favorites from all the albums, and then some new songs from the next album, which will just lead us nicely into 2025 when we actually focus on just the new album. So yeah,
So we don't need to talk about it too much, but what was it that made you think I'm quitting drink now? Was there a certain event or a point you were like, this is it now. I just need to.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, it was kind of do or die.
Right.
My drinking was that severe. So yeah, it just basically ruined my life. So it was do this until it kills you, or live again and not like cut down, none of this nonsense. Like I
Right.
was, it governed every impulse of my life. It was like the best way for me to describe it is just this evil spell that I didn't mentally or whatever, I didn't know how to get out of it. So yeah, I went to like what they call prehab, and I went and yeah, just knew that it was this is it. You're drawing a line under it. You're permanently sober now, and it was incredibly hard for me to deal with leading up to it, but I knew it had to happen.
Yeah.
And then after like literally a month or two of being abstinent, I was kind of like, oh my God, why didn't I do this? Why did I ever even touch the stuff? So yeah, and ever since then, like my life has just improved in every way.
That's wonderful, man. I speak to so many people that have gone on that journey, and sometimes you hear of stories, then they don't come out the other end, or they can't kind of, I mean this with respect, fix themselves.
Yeah,
So I'm really proud of you, dude, that like
thanks.
you've done it because it's not easy.
No, no. I mean, and now it seems easy. I wish I'd known then what I know now, but yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, part of it's hard because you become present in your own life and you basically go, oh my Lord, what have I done in the past? And there's a lot to be ashamed of and embarrassed about, and that's just part of it. But yeah, it's just been amazing. Um, I drink the like alcohol-free Guinness.
Yeah.
I'm not like one of these that can't be near it, or I specifically didn't want my sobriety to affect anyone else apart from positively. I didn't want them to be like, oh no, Dave's about,
Yeah.
don't. Yeah,
Don't put
I
a
mean,
pint near him. Yeah.
yeah, I needed to like literally prove to myself and others like I have seriously got that out my system. You don't like I kind of was really tired of people worrying about me. It's like
Yeah.
it's time for me to worry about other people. Um, Definitely. So like, but I just feel like 20 years younger because of it, and I'm not joking. I know people people might be like, oh my Lord, the typical got sober guy, and probably start praising the Lord next. Who knows? But yeah, it's just yeah, it's the best thing in the world. And music, like onto that subject, yeah, just music has just become so exciting.
Yeah.
Turns out I didn't need to be in constant mental, emotional
No.
pain to write good lyrics and good music, I think. So if anything, it's just made me a better musician in every way and lyricist. So yeah,
Is
I
there ever
only
a
encourage it.
yeah, is there I'm just being honest and a bit raw, but is there anything that ever makes you want to be tempted to go back, or do you just tell yourself, I'm not going there, like it's not even an option?
No, it really isn't. I mean, there was maybe a couple of times, not that I'd go back to drink, but
No.
that I really have drawn a line under it. I think it's poison. I don't want to
Yeah.
put it in my body. I don't like the person it makes me become. It just, yeah, I just don't, I'm just a sloppy shambles of a man on that stuff. So, but it was just like, oh, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not just abstinent with alcohol. It's like, I don't do drugs and things. So
No.
this is it. You can't escape. You can't escape your life now for a little period, apart from when you go to sleep and things like that.
Yeah.
So that was like a little scary for a while, but like I thought, I don't know, maybe I get high on life, and then that sounds stupid, but yeah, I do really. Like the other day, I was just walking along and I was listening to some music and I just saw the sea and I just got this kind of euphoric buzz that people would probably take drugs to try and get that sort of serotonin release in the brain. And I get it with the gym as well. I know it's the typical annoying sober guy starts going to the gym all the time. But yeah, like I get a real serotonin boost just from doing good things with my body. So yeah, I do not get tempted whatsoever, but it was strange at first. I was quiet and subdued. I didn't know how to be. I had to sort of rediscover me
I was gonna say
as
it's like
a
being
person.
yourself again, yeah.
Or was I ever myself? And I started rediscovering myself for the very first time, um, just completely without that stuff affecting me. And, just, um, so yeah, there was a first where I was probably quite quiet when I was out,
Yeah.
but maybe I should have been quiet throughout my life, I shouldn't have been the loudmouth all the time. So, um, yeah, but no temptation. I don't. I joked, like I said, oh, you couldn't offer me £1 million to have a drink, and then someone was like, yeah, but I mean, you could have the drink, get the £1 million, but it's the most expensive rehab, and then you've got like,
Loads of change, yeah.
yeah. But no, no. But basically, the principle is I've made a promise to myself never to drink alcohol again in terms of getting drunk. Like some of these things, when you got like 0.5, that's as far as I'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you accept and forgive yourself for the person that you were and became with the drink? Because it sounds like you're not ashamed, but obviously there's probably embarrassing moments or moments you wish you weren't that person. Are you able to come to terms now mentally and say, I can put that person to bed. I'm not that person. That isn't me because I'm not giving the poison to that person anymore.
No. No, I can't.
Not yet.
For the most part. But no, I was still in this body,
Yeah,
I kind of have to take blame for it, even though I wasn't sort of, particularly present or,
but it is still you, isn't
so
it?
I'm not a big fan of the other guy
No,
that I've kind of killed him.
yeah,
And the other guy wouldn't be a big fan of this guy either.
no. They're quite opposites.
Yeah. The other guy would envy this guy, and I don't envy that guy.
No.
No,
Well, as long as that guy doesn't turn up again, then we're all good.
he won't. No.
And there's nothing
For
wrong
the
with going
most
to
part,
the
it's fine,
gym.
but yeah, it's just like I was a severe alcoholic, so yeah, you're just not easy to be around when you're like that in any way. And then that kind of I could talk for this for hours, but yeah.
No, but I think it's important, Dave, because there's going to be people that listen that have had people in their lives or their families that have
Mm,
gone through the same, or might be at the stage that you were and not aware of it. I mean, it takes quite a while to accept it, doesn't it? I bet you're just like,
yeah.
no, I'm fine. I'm not an alcoholic. I just like
Well,
to
the thing
drink.
is, like,
No,
I wouldn't have listened to this purely
no,
based on I didn't want to hear it,
no.
But yeah, well, no, that doesn't apply to me because I'm me and no one understands my problems, blah blah blah, all the stuff. But yeah, so like I get it. It's this constant thirst, for
Yeah.
use of a better word. Um, when's my next drink? Like it's constantly in the back of your mind, and it owns you after a while. And if anyone is struggling with that, like uh, you can, I can, if I can beat it, I reckon you can beat it.
Yeah.
Like it is, and you can live again. You know, you haven't. It's hard, but if you do decide maybe you want a life, or you want to continue life, and you don't always want that there, there is help, definitely, because I got it. Um, and even if you're rock bottom and then you feel you've gone to a whole new rock bottom, then you can always find another rock bottom that's even lower. But yeah, I just think, I mean, I can't speak for anyone. I can only speak from my experience. As me as a person, I'm an expert on my problems.
Of course.
But yeah, just I personally think unless yeah, I enjoy having a drink, and when I do, I have the best time, and my life's amazing or whatever. It's and unless you're lying to yourself, if you've got a problem, you kind of know you've got a problem. I reckon eventually you're hurting, you're in pain. So yeah, just there is help, and life is definitely the opposite of empty without alcohol. Is all I'll say.
Do you feel like you're more alert, more aware, more alive? You get to see things better. You appreciate, even just like you said, going for a walk and seeing the sea. That's one of my favorite things. Me and my wife will literally have the best time ever just walking by the sea. There's nothing better. I don't
No.
need a drink. I don't need a nightclub. I don't need a gig. I could just walk by the sea. It's the free, it doesn't cost anything, but for some reason, everything just, I'm in a different place. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, scenery.
Yeah.
Do not underestimate the power of scenery
Yeah.
and the beauty of the world we live in, or whatever. Like I've just moved here. I'm so happy where I live. Literally, I just walk round the corner, down some stairs. I'm on the beach, uh,
Wow.
in Brighton, and and that means the world to me. Like that, and maybe before, when I was a drinker, it was always like, oh yeah, but I've got to be wasted as well. Oh,
Mm,
look at this opportunity. Oh, we're going to this amazing thing. Oh, it'd be even better if we were all wasted though, wouldn't it? And it's not. You
no,
actually don't enjoy the scenery as much because,
you can't remember it.
yeah, uh, yeah, you can't remember it, or you embarrass yourself or whatever. But yeah, more everything, more astute, more intelligent, just probably recovering brain cells and everything. And I
And
got
you're
like
healthier. You go into the gym, you look better, you probably feel better, you've got more energy for on stage, you're probably having better communications with loved ones and friends.
all of that you just said, yeah, yeah, like I've kind of
Beautiful, man.
replaced the pub with the gym. So yeah, definitely, if you do quit drinking, you'll be saving a fortune, so you can't argue that you can't afford that gym membership.
Yeah.
Uh, and just get down there and just because for me, it was getting my self-confidence back. I didn't like the way I looked, and I mean, I still don't. I'm stuck with it, but I can at least build it up. Like yesterday, I got a new personal best, so there's that as well. It's like I'm literally making myself stronger. That's quite fun and exciting.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. Like a year ago, I could bench half what I'm benching now. So it's just fun little game, and it's nice to walk up. There's a lot of stairs by the beach. It's nice to walk up the stairs and
Not be
not be
out of
out of breath
breath.
by the
Yeah.
top. And I'm running around the hospital all day long as well, doing my sort of technician work. And yeah, just feeling good and sleeping well. Sleeping like goes back to normal. If like wake up once for a wee in the night, that's about it.
That must
Um,
be bliss.
it is, and just my appetite, just eating healthily, and yeah, just also you learn when you. I mean, there's obviously a thousand different types of drinking problems. Some people they just binge at the weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
Mine was mine. Mine was my one. But yeah, you just don't take. Yeah, just living life at about 10% of its potential, basically. Um,
This is
So
all lovely to hear, my friend. This is what I want to hear. I don't want to hear. I've had people on that have gone the opposite way or really struggled or had friends that, they lost because of it. So it's fucking celebration. You might become a gym wanker, but it's all good.
I try not to, but it
If
does
you start
become,
telling me
it
you're
does.
benching this certain thing and then doing a photo in the gym with the weights, then I gotta unfriend you.
Oh God, well, you better unfriend me then, buddy. Don't look at the top of my Instagram. Definitely proud of that bod. I've earned that.
How many more reps, mate? Oh God.
It's not about the amount of reps, it's about the amount
No.
of weight you push.
There you go. Bloody
Uh,
hell. I never thought this
and also
conversation was
like,
going here.
no, but it's not. I don't want to be a power lifter or weightlifter.
No.
I don't want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's way too much effort. I just wanted my self-confidence back and I wanted to look good. Like I wanted to see if I could get a six pack in my 40s and I wanted to
Yeah.
I needed I'm really insecure, my self-esteem's really low. So if I get shredded, it really does help with that stuff.
And definitely, like you said, walking up steps, doing a gig, you're not going to be out of breath after two
Oh,
songs. You're going to
I'm a
remember
machine.
stuff,
I'm a
you know?
machine. Like you say, 2000 trees. I'm the only sober guy. I'm one of the only sober guys that I knew around.
Yeah.
5 days there, I would say day and night. I was at the silent disco till 3 a.m. every night, and I was up at 9 or 10, and then I was rocking all day long. And I did that 5 days straight, and I felt perfect by the end of it. So there you go.
I'm
Had the
already
best time of
excited
my
for
life.
I'm excited for next year's 2000 Trees already.
Yeah, it looks mad. Yeah, we're just arranging something. I can't talk about it because it's not confirmed. Um, and it's in July. And I was like, please make sure that doesn't clash with
Yeah.
Thousand Trees Week, and it doesn't. So yeah.
Well, that'll be exciting.
Mhm.
What I do, Dave, and it's my final question for you today, it's a nice positive end, is you get to choose any song you like in the whole world of music to be played at the end of today's interview.
Oh,
I'm putting you on the spot in the whole history of music.
oh God.
And it
Uh,
can't be one of your own because that's too arrogant, and bands that do that are just you
no,
gotta
I
give
won't do
yourself a
that.
break.
One of my own songs that ends this interview, basically.
Any
Okay.
no, not one of your own, any
No,
song
no,
in the
no.
whole world,
One of
yeah.
my favorite own songs. I meant
Yeah,
not my own song.
that's personal to you.
Okay, Talk Talk. I believe in you.
And why did that one come in?
Well, I think what we've just been talking about,
Yeah,
I believe
it
in,
does
I think
feel
people
nice.
saying I believe in you is a very powerful, encouraging, important thing. It's also by Talk Talk, one of the bands my dad got me into in the 80s. And Mark Hollis is kind of like my idol.
Yeah,
And I did say, like, as grim as it sounds, if I would like this song played when I get my big send off.
yeah.
So yeah, Talk Talk, I believe in you.
I'm now going to spend the next week probably just solidly listening to Talk Talk, which isn't a bad thing.
Definitely listen to Color of Spring and Spirit of Eden.
Yeah,
Those two albums. Before it's great, but it's a bit more sort of Duran Duran, early 80s Tears of Fear style, which is definitely not a bad thing. But yeah, very, very you'll find a lot if you listen to Talk Talk. Got a tattoo on my arm
nice.
just to prove how great they are.
I will listen to them and add the track in. I've heard some of it, but I've never given the albums enough time, so I should be listening in their entirety. So I like driving and listening to music at the moment a lot, so that's my chance
Mhm.
to listen to albums. So I'll stick Talk Talk on and I'll get through a few albums.
Yeah, my just to add, my one is cinematic playlists.
Yeah.
Just cinematic music at the moment. Just as you say, having walks and listening to film music instead of heavy metal all the time. Yeah, that's my thing.
Well, actually, last night I watched a documentary on John Williams
I've been watching that. It's great, isn't it?
on Disney, yeah. And
I was about to mention him, but I thought it was too obvious. But
I know, but I was like watching it just I forget how much he's done. And I know he's done Jurassic Park, Star Wars, all the classics, but all the stuff like Schindler's List and stuff, I was like, fucking hell, this guy's a genius. And
well,
I
anything Spielberg.
yeah, and I was like, oh my God, like just unbelievable. Like the scores he does and the soundtracks are just mind blowing. And I was like, how's he still doing it now?
But watching that documentary, I was like, it's just incredible watching him write note all the notation and
By
actually
hand as well.
and
Fucking
seeing
hell.
because I was that's when I had that little moment. I just got emotional, almost cried with joy, just walking along the beach. I was listening to the finale of ET.
Wow.
And yeah, that's when I had my little moment. And it's like this man, he is a legend in his own lifetime. It's just timeless music. It's like up there with 500 years time they'll be
Yeah.
playing that stuff. And those melodies they're basically the soundtrack to our entire lives.
I could talk films all day, dude. You know how much I love film, and I know you do too. And I think that maybe be a follow-up
Well, I think,
episode.
well, yeah, let's definitely do that
Yeah.
because I am the biggest film nerd I know. So it'd be nice to.
I used to do 5 years of a podcast called Skip to the End, which was Film 4's movie podcast of the year, and I talk movies all day, every day, and my life is movies. So we could do a whole episode, and people are like, "Oh wow, InMe, let's see what they talk about albums," and we'll just talk films.
Let's do that, definitely.
I'm
Because,
well up
well,
for that.
obviously, we just ended it on E.T., and you're nearly Mac and Me, which is kind of
Exactly.
a sister film to to
It's the
E.T.
film that E.T. wanted to be.
Of course.
Dave, thanks so much for coming on, dude. It's been a long time coming, and I'm really glad that everything's worked out at the right time. And I'm glad we did it now and not 18 months ago when you were struggling. I like
No,
the fact we've come through and talked about the other side of
ah,
the tunnel.
yeah, cool, man.
Means a lot, dude. Thank you so much, and I hope people come on and buy your vinyl and come and see you play.
Definitely. And then the new album, Demons
And
next year. Yeah,
is that next year?
yeah, and then just beyond. We'll be about
Yeah.
doing our thing. Yeah,
Thank you, Dave.
thanks, man.
So there's my interview with me and Dave McPherson. What an amazing guy. So open, so honest, so deep. He's been through it all and come out on the light side, and that's so important. He's become quite a good friend and we speak quite regularly, and I'm so proud of him and the work he's done on himself, his mental health, and obviously his battles with alcohol. And he's not ashamed to admit it, but isn't it such a proud achievement that we're sitting on this podcast today talking about how he's come out stronger, better, he's a healthier person now, and he's just living a really good life. And I'm so glad because he deserves it all. I want to say a massive thanks to Dave for being so open and trusting and honest with me on today's podcast. And also, if you haven't now, go and check out InMe on any of their UK tour dates. They've just, since we recorded this podcast, come back from playing with Alien Ant Farm, which was a surprise show, which is amazing for these guys. They've got some more dates coming up which you need to go to. They've got the album which has been re-released on vinyl for Overgrown Eden, which looks gorgeous, so go and treat yourself to that. A new album next year, so it's all happening for these guys. If you've listened to today and you've enjoyed the interview, as always guys, please share the episode. You know this, it costs nothing to do. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok are all the main channels that people see this podcast, so if you can share it, it means the world, and I do see each and every one of you doing this, so thank you. It doesn't go unnoticed. And I also have a Patreon account. I can't keep this podcast going without support on there. So if you've enjoyed today's interview and you want to give like a little tip and a couple of pounds that goes into basically the kitty, that allows me then to go out there and record more interviews for you guys at home. I don't take this for granted, and I make sure you get a monthly newsletter. At Christmas, you're going to receive a secret present, which no one knows about this yet. You're also going to get a welcome pack, which includes stickers and a badge, and so much more. Before I go, I want to give a shout out to the other sponsor of the podcast, Richer Sounds. Those guys are amazing to Mark and me and have supported me for over 2 years. So if you're in the market for a home cinema surround sound system, anything to do with audio and visual, go on richersounds.com or visit any of their high street stores. They are by far the best out there and they'll not be beaten on price. Now I'm going to be bringing you another episode in less than 48 hours time. But until then, please go and check out anything by InMe because they are an absolutely incredible band. Get yourself a ticket to any of their shows. Take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you all very soon.